It's almost crazy that thinking that the prequel trilogy ended well over 10 years ago by George Lucas when it all concluded with Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, showing us the downfall of Anakin Skywalker and the rise of Darth Vader and the Galactic Empire. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one major aspect by Disney and Lucasfilm is that they are focusing on the Kenobi series. This series is going to be treated as a direct sequel to that of Revenge of the Sith. It's going to have a lot of side stories besides Obi-Wan Kenobi's focus. It's going to focus on the Skywalker twins during their childhood, roughly at the age of 10, on, of course, the world of Tatooine and Alderaan. It's going to really give fans a vivid view of what the Skywalkers were like during their childhood, being separated at, of course, the rise of the Empire at its peak. Now, when we go ahead and examine Star Wars closely and exactly what Disney and Lucasfilm have been doing for the past couple of months now, they really are trying to actually get this Kenobi series done as soon as possible, because here's the key. They want to release it by sometime in 2022. They're not quite sure exactly when just yet, hence why we don't have an official release date. Same exact thing goes for the Andor TV series. We're not quite sure exactly when that's coming out, other than it will be released next year in 2022. Now, the most exciting thing about the Kenobi series, alright, is Hayden Christensen returning into the overall franchise, coming back as Darth Vader / Anakin Skywalker. Obviously, this is the thing that a lot of fans are looking forward to the most, and rightfully so. We have not seen him since Episode 3, technically. You know, you can count, of course, Return of the Jedi of him being digitally inserted, but I digress. What's really interesting about the Kenobi series is what Hayden Christensen had to say about his take on the prequel trilogy and what he actually had to say to the Star Wars fandom overall. Now, since the release of the prequel trilogy and when it ended with Episode 3 back in 2005, the fans have always compared the prequels to being superior to the sequel trilogy films by Disney. As of now, Disney and Lucasfilm are busy with the Kenobi series, which is set to star both Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader once again. However, in a recent interview with Hayden Christensen about his return to Star Wars, Hayden went on to apologize to the Star Wars fandom. At one point in time, Hayden states that he is very sorry for some of the line delivery that he gave the Star Wars fans as Anakin Skywalker in the prequel trilogy movies, and that he personally regrets it all the time, that he feels like he didn't give it his all as Anakin in Episode 2 and 3. Now, Hayden goes on to unveil that he worked with, of course, George Lucas and what he gave him at the time with the scripts and overall all of that, and that it was not 100% George's fault, and that he blames himself a bit for the acting in the movies, not actually being as best as they could have been. Hayden also unveils that he is very sorry for not being as open about his role as Anakin to the fandom publicly, and that it has been very hard keeping it to himself over the years. And not just that, that he is now making sure that he is going to do his absolute best in the Kenobi series with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. Hayden reveals that he actually has a lot in store for the series, and what is actually really going to be done is going to blow fans away when it comes to the new Star Wars show, and that it will have saga-wide implications when it involves Vader and Anakin Skywalker. Now, Hayden says that fans are in for a special treat that will actually be extremely exciting to the Star Wars fandom, and that it is going to have a major impact on the prequel trilogy movies. So, here's the thing about Hayden Christensen, alright? I do feel bad for the guy, the fact that for a number of years he really had to keep a lot of his emotions bottled up inside. Now that he's a part of the Kenobi series, we can obviously see that he's opening up more about his regrets of the prequel trilogy movies and how, according to him, he didn't give it his all when it came to acting as Anakin Skywalker. So I could see as to why he feels very much sorry and is apologizing to the Star Wars fandom. Me personally, I liked how he portrayed Anakin. I understand that there's a lot of lines in there that are just cringeworthy. I understand that. But let me just say one thing, is that the prequel trilogy, at least to me, is a lot more enjoyable than the sequel trilogy movies. That's my overall opinion. That's my opinion. Some of you may agree or disagree with that. That's fine. To me, the prequels felt more like Star Wars than the sequel trilogy ever will. Now, with that said, given that Hayden is now going to give it his all to make up, alright, this is a plan for him to make up for him not giving it his all in episodes 2 and 3, tells us that Hayden could very well redeem himself as an actor. Could this very well spark some new roles for him in other projects in the film industry, within Hollywood? That's a big question. I'm not quite sure if it'll go that route. We'll have to wait and see. But it most certainly is going in this direction, where Hayden is getting actual multiple Star Wars projects. We already talked about how he's already attached to an animated TV show. He's also attached to the Ahsoka Tano series to pretty much replay the Force Ghost of Anakin Skywalker and how that's going to be implemented into the world between worlds. So we have a lot of that coming into fruition. So that's going to also be a very exciting factor into the Star Wars universe. Now, the thing that Hayden Christensen also talks about is how he does not blame George Lucas 100%, and I do respect him for saying that. I know a lot of fans will immediately jump to conclusions sometimes and say that it was all George's fault when it came to how Anakin was done, and I could see some people's opinion on that. I can. Because after all, it was all about the script and how George was directing the movie and how he was telling Hayden to act as Anakin. But according to Hayden Christensen, it was not George's fault 100%, because at times Hayden just felt like he was not putting all of his effort and time into the role. So it seems like a 50-50 scenario. It's both on George and Hayden's end. Again, guys, like I say, I still really enjoy Hayden's performance as Anakin. He is Anakin. Nobody else could have portrayed this character. I know that when they were casting, they were looking at actors like Leonardo DiCaprio or Paul Walker at the time to portray an older version of Anakin. So, you can see that it really does portray or pertain to, of course, Hayden Christensen. That's exactly who it should always have been, and it will always be him as Anakin Skywalker. The other thing is this, is that the Kenobi series is going to have saga-wide implications. It's going to have a massive impact on the Skywalker saga movies. So keep that in mind, guys, is that though we do love the sequel trilogy in part, there are parts of the sequel trilogy movies that we do love, the Kenobi series is going to have a major impact on those 3 movies as well. And I'm really wanting to know exactly how it's going to make a major impact on all of this. So, like I've said before in the past, guys, I think that obviously Hayden knows what the fans want to see on the big screen. He also is going to really deliver everything that he can as both Anakin and Vader. Even Ewan McGregor said this a couple of days ago, that what he and Hayden are doing, it's going to be extraordinary. And he said that's an understatement. This is going to be probably the biggest moment in the Star Wars universe and Star Wars history, is what Ewan McGregor said. And that, to me, I think just makes things ultimately exciting and makes the Kenobi series at the top of the list as far as how looked forward to it is by the Star Wars fandom, right? So, let me know what you guys think about Hayden's apology here. It is very sincere. Again, I do feel bad for the guy that he had to keep everything bottled up for so long. But now that he's attached to a project, here he is, he's back, and pretty much back in action doing what he loves. So yeah, guys, like I said before, drop a comment below. Let me know think about all this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.